Good morning, it is the 12th of April 2021. I'm in Fortitude Valley in Brunswick Street. This is the pedestrian mall part of Brunswick Street. There's the Fortitude Music Hall and the Sound Garden. You can get some great live acts. Single musicians and bands as well. Actually, the area of Fortitude Valley was known as Bell's Valley, B-E-L-L''S, Bell's Valley. And it was named after Lieutenant Bell of the Moreton Bay Garrison. But in the early 1850s, its name changed from Bell's Valley to Fortitude Valley. And full of hope and ambition, people arrived on the migrant ships, the Fortitude Valley named after that ship, the Fortitude, the Chaseley and the Lima in January 1849. And I've got a bit of a picture of the vessel, the Fortitude, that Fortitude Valley was named after. I'm just going to try and find a position here to put this print out of this picture for you. That's an artist's depiction of the Fortitude that this area, the Fortitude Valley, was named after. Oh, just dropped my picture there. I'm going to see if I can get over here because I've just dropped my picture and I want it back. There, got it. That big building up there is, you see that brick building? That's McWhirters. Got a bit of history on McWhirters you might find interesting. There's a lot of drug use and poverty around Fortitude Valley. There is through Brisbane, but it's highlighted here. Someone asked me to buy them breakfast already this morning, which I did. Haven't got a problem with that. I just want to give people cash because they could buy alcohol with it or whatever. But at least I know that person had a good breakfast. Some people sleeping under there. So there, that's the side of McWhirters building. See the sign up there. McWhirters is a heritage-listed former department store here in Wickham Street and Brunswick Street. Fortitude Valley in Brisbane. It was also known as McWhirters Marketplace, McWhirters and Son Limited and Myer, Fortitude Valley. It was added to the Queensland Heritage Register on the 21st of October 1992. McWhirters department store comprising 4 adjoining brick buildings from 3 to 5 stories in height. It was erected in 4 stages on land acquired between 1899 and 1929 by Brisbane draper James McWhirter and the firm of McWhirter and Son Limited, later McWhirters Limited. It's a shadow of its former self. The exterior still looks impressive, but the interior of what it used to be is gone. It's just a very ordinary arcade through there now, and there's apartment buildings up the top on the various floors. You might get a better view from over here. That's where Walton's used to be, where it says Life Factory over there with that white cement archways going along there. And then there used to be Walton's. It's an absolute mess there. So that's a better look there. McWhirters commissioned Brisbane architects Atkinson and Macleay to design a substantial 5-storey building for this corner, and when completed in 1912, the new building became an immediate valley landmark seen for miles around, well, it wasn't at the time, and dominated the valley corner area. Described as a vast emporium on its opening in October 1912 and subsequently marked as such by McWhirter, the store was finally appointed. Every effort had been made to design the most modern and progressive of department stores, with new devices for the comfort, convenience and prompt attention to customers. On the ground level, the extensive street frontages had the latest in island windows with narrow copper mouldings. There were five street entrances and mosaic tiling and headlights in the main vestibule. And the interior was well ventilated and well lighted. Fittings were of silky oak throughout, and the ceilings were lined with Wonderluck pressed metal. A sprinkler system was installed for fire prevention, and there were 3 electric elevators for the convenience of customers, and the pneumatic cash tube system was the largest in the state. And in an innovative move, hundreds of silky oak display tables permitted customers to browse and inspect goods without being dependent on sales assistants. And other goods were displayed in glass cabinets under glass counters, and there were sliding glass doors to the shelves behind the counters. So the grand new store housed over 50 departments: Manchester, fabric, haberdashery, jewellery, travel goods. They were located on the ground floor, and the first floor, which housed the millinery and women's clothing departments, including a corset boudoir, was particularly well appointed. It contained a large circular display room with carpet on the floor, mirrors everywhere, and showcases so arranged as to form little retreats or parlours. On the second floor, that's where you'd find the furniture, carpets, lino, and on the third was crockery, glassware and kitchenware, toys, and for the convenience of customers, a tea room overlooking the Brisbane River and suburbs. On the top floor were the dressmaking and tailoring workrooms equipped with revolving pedestals for fittings. Clearly, McWhirters had identified their principal clientele as female and dedicated the new building to that market. The men's clothing department had been relegated to the Brunswick Street store, although it did take up most of this building. A new boot department was opened, serving both male and female customers, but that was not located in the 1912 building. McWhirters' 1912 store was the first of the big Brisbane department stores. Rivals included TC Burney and Overells in Fortitude Valley, McDonnell and East near Roma Street Railway Station, and Finney's, Isles & Co and Allen and Stark in Queen Street. And to reflect international trends in modern department store retailing, this competition was fierce. Between 1860 and 1920, the industrialised world's level of affluence and leisure time increased significantly, and the art of shopping, once the prerogative of the wives of the wealthy, was adopted eagerly by the wives of the emerging middle classes. And by the mid-19th century, department stores were evolving worldwide to accommodate the rising numbers of middle-class shoppers. Selfridges in London started a trend in London, similar to what McWhirters were doing here, and the earliest of the grand department stores was Aristide, which opened in Paris in 1852, followed by Macy's in New York City in 1860, and these provided important models. I think Selfridges in London would be the most famous though, and in Australia the department store was also the logical extension of the general store or drapery. And to complement the refined department store environment, customers, predominantly female, experienced a superior quality of service, the object of which was to make them feel special and confident. And often this entailed an attitude of deference, but more commonly in Australia this developed into cheerful, polite efficiency and promises of honesty and fair dealing. Whichever method was employed, the aim was the same, and that was to encourage spending. So on those top floors there, it's just apartment buildings now, and on the bottom floor, as I said before, is a very ordinary arcade. James McWhirter died in England in 1925, but the firm of McWhirters Limited continued to grow, paralleling the development of Fortitude Valley as a thriving commercial centre with its three competing anchor stores of T.C. Burney, Overells and McWhirters. And by the 1930s, McWhirters had also branched into shirt manufacture with their own clothing factory in the valley. The mail-order department had remained an important and lucrative aspect of the business, and McWhirters also offered credit and lay-by systems. Part of the success of McWhirters, like other early 20th century department stores in Brisbane, also lay in the value placed by management on employees. And listen to this, by 1931, some of the nearly 800 McWhirter employees had been with the firm for over 3 decades, 30 years. And staff had their own benefit society. How many businesses look after staff and have loyal staff like that remain with companies for 30 years? And how many businesses give staff their own benefit society as well? Sadly, that no longer exists. In 1955, the Myer Emporium took over the McWhirters company and eventually renamed the store Myer. I remember when that was called Myer, operating until 1988, by which time both its rival department stores, T.C. Burney, now David Jones, and Walton's had already closed down. That's where Walton's used to be, as I showed you before, that white building there. Myer then concentrated its inner city business in its Queen Street store in the CBD, Brisbane CBD, the former Allen and Stark building. Fortitude Valley had become much less desirable as a shopping district due to the declining reputation and the quality of the suburb that had begun as far back as the 1970s. It's sad because Fortitude Valley was a really good shopping precinct and it has declined. Its reputation has decreased over the years. There's a lot of strip clubs through here, a lot of drug use, a lot of poverty. They're trying to create an entertainment and music precinct, which is a good idea to try and lift the profile of Fortitude Valley. Well, that's a bit of history on McWhirters. And as I said, it's just a very ordinary arcade through there and apartment buildings up the top. We might just walk through that arcade just to give you an idea. It's very disappointing, actually, what it used to be and what it is now. So, people just walk straight across red lights. I know I go on about that a bit, but I nearly saw a lady get killed, nearly got hit by a bus doing that. So we're on the corner of Brunswick, the intersection of Brunswick and Wickham Streets. What used to be a magnificent retail store with silky oak cabinets and the top service, tea rooms, almost like a mini Selfridges here in Brisbane. I'll show you what it looks like inside now. Step back and they get hit by a bus. So here's another guy just walking along a red sign. Here we go. I hope this is open. Yep. So this is it now. Oh, they've closed off the escalator. This used to be wide open floors, and they've created small little passageways through here and various shops throughout here. Nothing compared to what it used to be. Nothing at all. Here we are, overlooking Warner Street. And that's Warner Street going on to Wickham Street back there. That's Warner Street heading up toward where those buses are, heading up toward Ann Street. This should head us back out onto Brunswick. And we're back in the Brunswick Street Pedestrian Mall. Remember I mentioned TC Burney and Co. It's a memorial photograph. Don't forget to check out one of our past videos on Fortitude Valley. And there's Brunswick Street running all the way up. If you keep going all the way up Brunswick Street, you end up in an area called New Farm. We've also done a walk on New Farm Park. Have a look at that. That's right down the end of Brunswick Street. And we've also done a video walk, walking along further up Brunswick Street from New Farm Park, just to almost to where I am now. So you can check that video out as well if you like. So here's Ann Street, and this is the street that we also did a video walk on as well. So there's lots of past videos. If you want to check out my past videos, have a look at those walks too. Some really interesting stuff on those various videos. You might enjoy those. But thank you for joining me on this one. I appreciate it. Please subscribe. And this is Explorerman, Jeff, signing off.